It finished 22 to the Hurricanes, a home win, as many of us predicted. But hey, it was a very, very close one. It took a kick at the death to win it. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, and tonight I am joined by real Mike Pullman. How are you doing, sir?
Good to be here, Paul. No, I'm doing great, man. I'm not sure how I feel about that match, though, to be fair.
Well, to kick us off, the Highlanders, let's be honest, didn't start too well. They dropped the opening kickoff with a knock on, and that told us something was going to happen quite a lot during this game. We were going to have a lot of errors and a lot of turnovers. So, looking at some of the stats, the Hurricanes 20 turnovers in this game. This was a real messy derby, wasn't it?
Yeah, one of the messiest Kiwi derbies I've seen in a long time, and it's something that you wouldn't expect, particularly from these sorts of matches. But 20 turnovers versus the Highlanders 12. I thought the handling errors were sort of bugsome. I don't know if that's a word, but throughout the game, and it was so highly penalised as well, and probably fitting, I guess, that it was decided on a penalty.
Yeah, probably so. You're quite right. It's interesting enough. The Highlanders, the Canes, early enough did what you'd expect them to do. They went to the corner rather than taking the three. And when we got a game that was won by 3 points, that was a bit questionable at times. Some questionable decision making by both these sides at times. I think the Highlanders had an early attack. They knocked on. We then had a 5-metre scrum. And the scrum went both ways. Both sides. Neither side really kind of had ascendancy. They both had ascendancy at times. It was all a bit of a mess, but the Highlanders got it right. Generally the side not putting the ball in had ascendancy, which is a bit strange, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and I thought the Highlanders' defence in that first 20 minutes or so was actually really solid, considering how many penalties they gave away, and I think the Hurricanes probably went to the corner a wee bit more than what they should have. Obviously that's their game plan, like a lot of Kiwi teams. And the win was an issue as well, as always. But credit to the Highlanders for keeping them out as much as they did, because early on I sort of felt that the Hurricanes were going to go in more than what eventuated.
Yes, absolutely. It was a. Alex says the great hurricane escape, and yes, it's. I think that probably is a good explanation. Early on, the first try was a Hurricanes scrum going backwards. Artie Sphere picks it off the back, gets tackled by Aaron Smith. The Highlander forwards all pile in, push the ruck back over the line, and Aaron Smith just has to place it over the line. Easiest try he'll ever have to score. But as you say, we were talking at the early stage. The Highlanders gave it the first 4 penalties to nothing, whereas the Canes were basically dropping the ball and turning it over. And that's really how both sides were marching up and down the pitch. Impressed by Tia early on. He faded out the game, didn't really have much in the second half, but apart from maybe one or two breaks. But his kicking in that first half was pretty monstrous.
Yeah, he's had a really good couple of weeks, actually. And I said on Twitter a while ago it was a big loss for the Chiefs. He should have been given the opportunity here, and he's certainly taken advantage of that with the Hurricanes. And similar to a Josh Ioane, I think there's no need to tinker with his position moving forward, because he looks solid and pretty comfortable in that role, and he's able to, I think, have some vision that a lot of other fullbacks just don't have. So yeah, it reminds me a lot of Damien McKenzie, actually.
And but a bit, perhaps a slightly bigger a player. One of the things that I found amusing in that first half, we had Aaron Smith calling in the 12, so that would have been Emmanuel Jensen to be one of the blockers for a box kick, and Emmanuel Jensen's not really kind of sure where to stand. And you see, had Perry Parkinson pushing him in the back, saying, "Right, stand there." And that was needed because we had a couple of charge downs by the Highlanders, didn't we, in that first half?
Yeah, I think we did, and it was lucky that didn't lead to a try, and the Hurricanes will rue the fact that they didn't take advantage of that, especially with, I think it was Ben Lamb who might have knocked the ball on, because when you put the Highlanders under pressure and you force Aaron Smith to make those sort of 50-50 kicks, he doesn't make a mistake very often, and that's both from the executing the kick, but also working with his forwards to arrange the blockers. So when he does make that mistake, you've got to punish him.
You do. Mr. Higgins mentions that Tia would have been home and dry in the second half if Geordie had found him. Very true. Fading out's probably not quite so right. Perhaps just had a quieter second half. Is probably a fairer comment. So the Highlanders had a penalty that they missed, and windy conditions today. Both kickers had a bit of a hard time of it there, and then a lovely try for the opening, or the opening Canes try. Aaron Smith has Mitchell running on his shoulder, pops it to him straight through a big gap, and we've got a guy in his first season at Super Rugby, remains a lock as well, so not exactly a handling player, remains calm, looks around, finds Lamapi, and Lamapi does the business like he always does, and goes over for his fourth try of the season.
Yeah, and I think the gap in the Highlanders' defence was, I think it was built from the line out. I think they had a line out just before that break. But for Perenara to be able to spot it, and I think it's actually a bit of a reflection on Aaron Smith that he didn't spot that gap earlier. So Perenara just delays that pass a wee bit, allows the gap to get even bigger. No one's there, and Lamapi, I mean, he can't do anything wrong right now, and but like you say, great composure by a young player to, not stuff that move up, really.
Yeah, there's that. Alex says Lamb showed he's not an All Black from not converting those chances. Lamb wasn't the only one who had some strange handling issues today, but Fafita as well also sort of just spilled the ball with no one with no one's arm in there. Both players remiss of thinking too far ahead, and skills coach doing something a bit strange with them. Maybe, I don't know what's going on there, but for two guys who are international of a certain level to be spilling the ball when there's no contact with the ball at all is pretty poor.
Yeah, and I mean, it might be a bit of an excuse, but I mean, the conditions are a lot wetter than what the Hurricanes and Highlanders would have been used to playing in recently. I don't know if that's really an excuse. We've just come off, a summer with very little rain, so I think the handling, that definitely played a part in this. But trying to execute moves before the time sort of come, really, and just being a wee bit anxious, I think.
Yeah, the Landers knocked over a goal after that to take the lead back again, and then the Highlanders tried to run out the restart, which seemed a bit strange. A poor pass, and you say Lamb steals it and should have scored. We have the charge downs, and the Highlanders really failed to exit all game, and the next exit didn't go out. Barrett gets the ball. Something we saw maybe 2-3 years ago, which was a lot of crossfield kicks from Barrett. He pulled that out of his locker. Crossfield kick to Lamapi, who only has Ioane to go round, and Lamapi versus Ioane, there was only one winner, and he got his fifth try of the season to give the Hurricanes a 14-8 lead at half time.
Yeah, and like I said on Twitter, the Highlanders will absolutely rue that, because, I mean, just on that clearing out of their own red zone, I think they don't quite have the faith in Ioane's kicking ability. I just wonder if that's what it is, because, and obviously he stuffed up that clearance that he did try and execute, but they need to get that combination working properly, because you can't always rely on Aaron Smith to put up a high kind of hanging ball that will hopefully go into touch, because a lot of them won't. So they really should have backed themselves to hold the ball. I mean, there was about a minute or so on the clock at that point, and obviously it's only half time, but you kick the ball back to the Hurricanes with the two Barretts, and you're going to be asking for trouble. And now might be again in perfect position. He's got an angel on his shoulder at the moment.
Yeah, he's having a fantastic game, and as Alex said earlier, definitely making a very early push for that All Blacks selection. We had Beauden Barrett call for a penalty early in the second half, tell his brother to take it. His brother went, "Nah, it's a bit far for me," and then Beauden Barrett went and missed. So that was all a bit of fun and games going on there. But that second half really just got very messy, didn't it? We had lots of penalties. It was going up and down the pitch. The Highlanders did get themselves a soft try from an intercept, because they didn't really, in that first sort of 10 or so minutes, it was mainly Hurricanes. The Hurricanes couldn't take advantage. The Highlanders got a try against her on a play, to be honest, and then the Highlanders took control of that half.
Yeah, they did, and I mean, I think the penalties, I thought the referee, Damon Murphy, had a really, really good game. A lot of people will look at this and they'll go, "Oh, there were too many penalties," but I think that was a reflection on how ill-disciplined both these teams were. And, that first try in the second half, it was against the run of play. And Beauden Barrett, I sort of don't know how I feel about that play, but he did hesitate, and can't remember who the try scorer was, but
Tompkinson.
Yeah, Tompkinson was already well committed, and it sort of reminded me a bit of the Springboks scoring in Wellington last year, I think it was just after halftime as well. So similar sort of play.
Yeah, and I say the Highlanders then went on to dominate for a good period of the half. After that, got themselves a line-out maul try, which was well done. They did give up an offside penalty in a rare Hurricanes attack, but we were heading into basically the last 10 minutes, and it was 17-22. So a lot of us feeling very sort of a bit concerned at that point. Yeah, Alex says players at fault for many of the penalties, and always for that many penalties. Yeah, exactly. The referee had a good game tonight. Some sensible decisions as well. We had a high tackle that took out a player that looked nasty, but it was nasty because he hit the sort of chest and the ball at the same time, and it bounced up. Yeah. And then there was no intent, and it wasn't reckless. His tackle was at chest height that then bounced up. He just had no control over what happened at that point. So that kind of stuff was good. We then had the Hurricane. The Canes had it. The Canes have scored 5 tries in the final quarter of Super Rugby games before this game, which is the most of any team. So we should have expected a comeback from them, and that's exactly what we got. They came back just 10 minutes left, line out maul, got stopped by the Highlanders, did very well there. But then when the ball got spun out, we saw some lovely movement by the backs to put Lamb clear into the corner. That evened things up at 22-all, and I think a lot of pickers were kind of a bit concerned at that point that it was going to ruin everyone's chance for clean sweep this weekend.
Yeah, and I sort of think about that try though, and I just think with all we've seen, particularly from Beauden Barrett, you've got to expect those sorts of plays. I mean, that set play was, I think I used the word trinky dinky on Twitter. You got to expect that sort of stuff, and what eventuated was a massive gap, and I don't know. Yes, it looked good, but I think the Highlanders could probably look at themselves for that, because that was really one of the only times in that half that the Hurricanes had the ball on the red zone, and it's not good enough. Alexa,
time to go to sleep.
Stop.
So
Sorry
good night.
about that.
Anyway, no worries. So we're running out of time before the next. Well, actually, the next game's already kicking off, so we probably want to get to watching the Rebels versus the Brumbies. But just quickly to finish the game off, me the big turnaround was in the first half. We saw the Canes being able to go through multiple phases, but not the Highlanders. In the second half, generally it was the Highlanders that could, not the Canes. That was a big difference, and perhaps the wind wasn't was a factor in that one. But not Julian Surveyor, wrong one. Artie Surveyor probably gets man of the match just purely for his intervention at the end there. Picks up the ball behind a ruck, gets a near turnover, then gets the actual turnover that leads to the Hurricanes going down the pitch, getting a penalty and knocking it over once the hooter had blown. Artie Surveyor's very good game today. Perhaps not one of his more boisterous games, but a lot of hard work in the tight areas.
Yeah, we barely mentioned him really up until that last part of the game, but it's the thing about these X Factor players, they just those moments where you need something to go right for your side when everything's going against you, really momentum wise. He did just that, and I have no doubt that the likes of Pionara as well, were very, just how vocal he is, would have really sparked this sort of composure from the Hurricanes, and they had a lot of ball in that last 10 minutes, and I think the Highlanders will be disappointed that they couldn't turn it over in parts.
Yeah, I think this was basically one that the Highlanders let slip, to be honest, and the Hurricanes got out of jail.
Yeah.
Just a couple of stats. I mean, we've talked already that there were kind of 9 penalties by the Hurricanes, 11 by the Highlanders, so lots of blowing whistle. Great defence by the Hurricanes at 19%, 91%. There's lots of talk about the Highlanders' defence being good, but they only made 78% of their tackles. They missed 23 tackles tonight. So, yeah, for all that talk of it being a good defence, there were some poor ones there. And the lineouts for both sides were, whilst it says both sides only lost 2 lineouts each, it felt there were lots of ones were overthrown that they then won back themselves. It was a bit of a lottery at lineout, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and I thought Dane Coles, I felt his performance last week was kind of blown up a wee bit more than what it actually was, but tonight he and Coltman had a bit of a mixed bag, but again, I think the conditions it really took a lot out of both sides, because it might be an excuse, but that we just haven't had that sort of weather at all really this year. So I think a lot of their game plans were kind of thrown out the window a wee bit, and neither side was able to adjust, which I'm not sure. I think it might be an excuse, like I said, but yeah.
So a couple of players I want to talk about very quickly. Luke Whitelock, I thought, had a very good game tonight. There's a player that we kind of lived in Reed's shadow, someone that we think is a sort of steady player, but he showed some real nice touches to get the ball with ball in hand, some nice passing. Also got through a bunch of work tackling as well. So I think he had a good all-round game. And then we should also mention Blackwell, who had 17 tackles in this game, which was impressive. He got through a chunk of work, but perhaps not on the offensive side, but mainly on the defensive side.
Yeah, no, I was really impressed with Luke Whitelock in particular. He's a workhorse, and I'm not entirely sure what he's doing after this year, but I mean, if he sticks around, he could very well be a regular in that All Black team, because he's just very similar to Kieran Reid. He kind of he does his job, does it well, and it's those little minute things that you don't really notice until you have a second look at it.
Yeah, he had a good game. So, Michael, let people know about your new YouTube channel that everyone should go have a look at.
Yeah, so just YouTube Kiwi Rugby Corner. So it's a work in progress, and just sort of my periodic uploads on New Zealand rugby, and particularly the Chiefs, and some interviews with the guys down there. So yeah, it'd be great if you can subscribe, and also go to therunnersports.com and read mine and Paul's work, and Tyler and everybody else. It's really good team over there. So thanks for having me too. It's been good to be back.
Great to have you back again. And just reminders, folks, for those on the recording, up there is how you subscribe to the channel. Down there is how you become a patron. Michael became a patron today. Thank you very much, sir. And over there are 2 videos that the artificial intelligence at YouTube say you'll absolutely adore. So check those out. I'll be back again tomorrow night from the Zone Sports Bar for post-match reaction to the Crusaders versus the Chiefs. If you want to come down to the Zone Sports Bar and join me to watch the game, then please do so. Enjoy whatever you're watching this weekend.